What's going on? It's Justeeni here. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to get 100,000 points in perfection as a free-to-play. So you can see here, I've disabled all the other tribes, but we're actually going to go a step further than that. I'm going to do this with Imperius. So I'm going to disable all the other tribes. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to make the terrain consistent. If you're playing with Jinchi, I would recommend playing just Jinchi, just a mirror match there. So that's how I do that. I'm doing Imperius just because I feel like it. I'd say they're probably going to be the easiest, and I don't want to spend too long making this video. Getting 100,000 points is by no means easy. It'll likely take you multiple tries, especially with the harder tribes, like I'd say Omaji is the most difficult. But the strategy that I've come up with that I think is the easiest is playing with one crazy bot. So you get 180% bonus as opposed to 210, which isn't actually much of a difference, but playing against one bot is significantly easier. Now, you will have to do a bit of spawn shopping. I'd say this spawn is actually not good enough, so I'll cut back to when I do find a good spawn. Okay, looks like we got a really nice spawn that has a lot of potential here. You can see lots of land and lots of force because we are going to be going for markets. So that's what you want to keep in mind with these spawns, good markets. Now, let's just explore around, and basically, because it's a continent map, we're both going to spawn on different continents, so that means you can play super passive. And by super passive, I mean if you're using Imperius or Border, I would highly recommend just going Filler Rush. If you're playing Jinchi or Omaji, just go like for Market Rush, which you can kind of see, because after I Filler Rush, I'm just going to go straight into markets. And yeah, you're going to kind of see how things work. Just going to expand. Resources are looking really nice. I'm going to head after the Ruin. Capture, Villa is going to cost 13. But I can train 2 warriors this turn. And then, yeah, that should be really all I need in terms of warriors. Maybe one more. Yeah, we can just get one more. That should be all. And yeah, we can see the opposing Imperius get a nice Star Ruin. And so now, probably the hardest part of this is planning the markets. It's the most important part as well. You need to have good markets. So some things to kind of keep in mind with that. Really look for good sawmill spots if you're playing Imperius. I see this sawmill spot here, so if I border growth, most likely my capital, I can take that. Then I can put markets nearby really easily. I also have this sawmill spot with this city. This city isn't doing quite as well with sawmill spots. This sawmill spot is pretty good, but it would get in the way of a market spot. There is this forge spot. So a lot of things to consider. I'll kind of think about it more when I get to that. I do happen to meet the opponent, which is really nice. But yeah, another thing, I could border growth my capital this turn, but I want to wait on it because I want to capture this village first. Because again, setting up the long-term potential of the markets is going to be super important. So we're going to get forestry. Trying to think about the market in this city. I could place a forge here if I really want to. And then I have like a market here, sawmill here. So regardless, I want to chop this and make this a lumber hut. And then I probably want to get mining smithery and then go markets. I think I'll go for math first, just because I'm closer to that. So let's pass here. Then math, writing, roads, all the way to trade. Capture, chop, harvest the fruit, and we border growth. Take all that, capture this. And we're getting a nice and early turn 10 market now. I'm not exactly sure like what turn you need markets, but I'd say around turn 12 is safe. This is actually quite nice. I might be able to do this on my first try with recording, which would be very, very nice. So, where does my market on the capital want to go? I think right here, because I've got 2 good forges, which means I don't need to chop anything. Now, another key part of this strategy, no giants. You can go for 1 giant if you're really struggling to take out the bot. Like if you're going for 50k, I would maybe even make 2 or 3 giants. If you're going for 100k, you cannot afford to make any giants. You have to go kind of all in. Let's place our Parka Fortune here, just to get developing. I feel like the rest of our market should be a bit more straightforward. I guess we'll kind of see. But yeah, we can place our first couple of them. Then let's go here. I can make a rider and start expanding. I guess I should upgrade here first. Now, I don't want the opponent to do anything. The thing is, because you have 30 turns, you do have quite a lot of time, but you also need to get a lot of score, which is why I'm prioritizing really setting up like that score building, because that's what's going to be the ultimate decider. Now, I've got a good level 6 market here because I've got the level 2 sawmill and sawmill here, so I'm going to set that up next. And then let's just smack this again. Open this ruin, get free spirit, that's not bad. Another ruin, that's pretty nice. So sawmill. And let's just finish these first. So I'm deciding if I want to connect. And it looks like I will be connecting. So you can see the economy is doing really well. I have philosophy on top of that. This is really ideal. Not all your runs will be like this. I'll just say that up front. Things will usually be quite a lot more difficult. But this is going very well, so you can kind of see what happens in an ideal case. They just made a bomber. That's funny. So I'll probably want a rider. Make a bridge. Not gonna worry about them too much again. So again, this is a level 6. Could make sawmill here. I like the idea of sawmill here, actually. I guess it's at the same level. There's not too good of prospects for a market in this city. Unless I were to get spiritualism, which can be an option. I do like smithery. I can get like... I don't know. Because I went with this sawmill here. I might as well just do this. It's better than nothing. And then I'll go for this sawmill. This is a very good sawmill, because it's going to allow me to market here, which also saves room for the forges. I can also get a rider. I'll eventually want like mindbenders, catapults, cloaks, those sorts of things to deal with the bot. I can even get some more riders. Yeah, they're just making scouts, which is making my life pretty easy. Just keep making riders. I'll even make a road. So let's go for smithery again. It seems like this is very slow because I'm still not dealing with the bot, but it really is so much more important to get that economy going than to even think about worrying about the bot. Now I could consider a giant here. This seems like a good justification for the giant, honestly. So I will go for it just because there's a connection. Usually, most of the time what happens is you spawn like pretty far away on different islands, and in that case, a giant barely helps at all. So this is like, I'm kind of breaking my own rule, but if there's a good reason to, then why not? You know? But I will get another park. It's going to be entirely parks from this point forward. Because the parks give you score, of course, and they give you economy, which again, that's the name of the game here. Okay, there's another bomber. Spot is really making things easy by just spending all their stars here. Now I can get this forge. And then that lets me get, this is at level 6. I suppose this is, well, no, this overlaps more markets. This is the big thing with markets, it's getting the overlap. You see how much overlap I'm getting with these? This is how you get high level markets. Then I suppose I can just get this forge down just for more parks. It's actually just really efficient population. And yeah, this economy is very nice. I'm probably going to get sailing and stuff really soon. I could actually get fishing this turn. Get on the water now. Get some fenders and stuff. Let's capture this. And we're not going for any explorers because, again, economy. Because we're not just like, you know, playing greedy and stuff for the sake of being greedy. We're doing it because we need to make a lot of temples, because one of the main reasons why I'm making this guide and why 100,000 is even doable as a free-to-play is because temples have been massively buffed. So you have to focus a lot on temples, and that is why the economy is so important. So I could siege this turn. It might hold, so I guess there's no harm to it. And yeah, with sieging, you just get 3 nice and weak units. Riders and warriors are very good. Just kind of the bread and butter. Get a port here, connect, and then connect here. I don't know if that's the most efficient way. It probably isn't, but it's not a huge deal. So our score's doing pretty well. I can set up another market in this city, since I do have Grand Bazaar, so I'm actually going to do that. Because again, every single market is going to be essential. I'd say you want to stop placing markets when you start going for temples, which is going to be on turn 22, because that's the latest you can still max out your temples. So we still have a lot of time. I can go sailing. Really start exploring. There's going to be a few island cities that I can pick up. Get of power now. Veteran warrior as well. You can get some more riders. I suppose I can get some swords. Swords are pretty nice. We're just overall kind of breaking through. They're very space efficient units. Now, I could get order growth, but I think population growth is better. Usually I don't find you run out of space with temples, so yeah, I'll chop one of these forests. Usually you want to avoid chopping, even if the forests seem unnecessary, because we really want spiritualism, but I think this case is worth it to get that park a little sooner. Now, they don't unsiege, which is perfect. I was expecting them to. Now, this rider's at 2 out of 3 kills. It's nice to track your kills. You don't really need to worry about it too much. Now let's go spiritualism, navigation. We can consider quadism, but I prefer to pick it up later. So let's go do this. And yeah, I will say I'm playing rather quickly just because I don't want this video to take too long and be too boring. Ooh, I can place a bridge there. I can always destroy the bridge later if I get chivalry, so I don't have to worry about covering the starfish. I don't know if I really care about the bridge too much. Again, I'm not at all in a hurry to beat the bot, especially since I've got a giant. I've done this a few times before. I've actually not hit 100,000 with my practice runs, but I was also like playing even faster than I am right now. And my spawns were much worse. I was just kind of playing whatever I was given, just to test strategy. I'll place a forest temple. I know it's turned 17 really early, but I might as well just use that to get a park instead of a lumber hut. Use a mine here. Another park. I can get a catapult maybe. I'll just get a sword. I like the idea of making a bridge here. And then I'll make some warriors. Expand. A sawmill here. Develop this market. Then we can kind of just keep on chugging. Yeah, you can see economy is just doing amazing. I'm about to get Emperor's Tomb. Okay. Let's go ahead and take out this scout. This warrior's been getting a lot of value. Now, we'll start to get some archers, because they are making defenders now. And the defenders are quite annoying, especially if you don't know what they're doing. Obviously, the bot's not like actively hunting you down when they're using defenders, but it's very troublesome when you're trying to win quickly and cheaply, because defenders can force out quite a lot. So let's get some archers. Archers are going to be nice. That's kind of another thing with like going for spiritualism, is you get the archery along the way, which is very good. In my practice runs, I think I definitely should have gone archery more often, because I had a lot of times where I was getting stalled unnecessarily. But yeah, economy is just going up. I haven't even like captured the opponent's cities, and things are still going quite well. I can get even more parks. And then I might as well get yet another park here. Now, I'm just gonna double check. Oh yeah, I wanted to make a market here. Might as well do that. Been pretty good about my other markets. These are, again, really good markets. If you don't get good markets, I would recommend restarting, unless you're not going for 100,000. You do not need good markets for 50,000, because you have so much leeway to make 50,000 that you're able to do 100,000. So perfect conditions are not at all necessary for this kind of score. Let's go with the rider so we can get a vet. Let's hit promote. It's a nifty little combat trick. So we can also kill with this, make this a veteran, get another archer. Pew pew the rider. Then I could get a Quadism. Honestly, it's pretty cheap. Main reason for a Quadism is the water temples, of course. Being able to place the temples on the water is pretty nice. Maybe it's not needed this map because I have a lot of land, which is pretty uncommon actually. Let's get another sword. Run all these up. And I like using my monuments on these cities because it's normally quite expensive to get order growth otherwise. But again, we have 3 turns before we really care about temples. I know I'm placing temples, but that's just because I have a lot of stars on hand and I can use them to get parks. You do not need to be placing your temples, but I find it's a very nice optimization to make. I'm gonna put this rider here so I can get the starfish. I should not have promoted that rider. There's a little misclick there. So this sword has 2 out of 3. Perfect. Yeah, and this is what is usually worrying. This is why the defenders are not my favorite. Let's make a road here. I can probably promote it later. So there's the capital. And yeah, you'll see it'll still take some time to take this out. I'd love to get a catapult. I can disband a unit. I don't know if I'll actually need to though, because I can just road the giant in next turn. Yeah, you can see, kind of weird. I don't know if this was related to this date, like the somewhat recent update, the whole balance pass and all that. But I feel like the bots have gotten noticeably worse at developing their economy. Like so many times. Turn 20 is a crazy bot, remember? And it has a level 1 city. Now we're still not going to neglect the markets. Because you can never have too much economy. Like, you will not fill the map with temples with this strategy. There are ways to fill the map with temples, but that requires playing against more than 3 opponents, which if you're free to play, you cannot do. Hence the existence of this guide. Now I could get a catapult if I want to road the giant to a different place, which I think I like the idea of. Now, I think I'm kind of good for units. Now it's, again, just about developing. Need a little more. Yeah, the bots are not the brightest, so you can get away with a lot of things that you shouldn't be able to get away with. Let's do a nice promotion there. So now we get that connection. Let's move this up. I'll promote this now. Keep this around. Get another scout. That'll likely be the final unit I even need in the water. I can get another rider. So just keep developing now. And this is kind of the most monotonous part. But you have to really try to optimize this as well, because you don't have much leeway for 100,000. Like, you really don't. So you have to be very precise. So you can kind of just follow along with what I'm doing. Like, take notes of the fact that I'm using my temples to level up my cities. They provide that 1 population. Don't let that go to waste. Alright, so this is the temple turn, which means, yeah, this is the final turn that I can get level 5 temples. So I need to be placing as many temples as I possibly can. Nice, we just barely get the siege there. Cool, we get that. So we'll have to place one road. I think that's the only road we can place. If I got chivalry, or if you happen to have chivalry, destroying any lumber huts that are not near sawmills can allow you to place a forest temple. Unfortunately, I do not have chivalry, so I cannot do that. But yeah, place every forest temple you can. I don't believe I have any more forests, unless there's some back here. I really want to check everywhere. That's usually why I don't play perfection these days, because it can feel a bit tedious at times to really check everywhere. But I'm just gonna focus on this city now. There's one more island city in the back. Now we can move all these units up. And yeah, we should have more than enough units. This one giant was pretty nice because even though it cost me some points, it's gonna save me a lot of stars. And that's kind of the main reason why. It also saved me some time. And as you guys know, time is money. So I can consider getting chivalry now. So now I can start destroying those lumber huts. And now, you'd think it's important to focus on temples still, but you actually only want to focus on temples on every even turn. And the reason why is because temples only level up every other turn. So the turn after 22, where you can no longer get level 5 temples, your temples will become level 4 on turn 29, if you were to place them this turn. Then on turn 30, they don't do anything. So it's best to just not upgrade them, or not get temples if you don't need to. Like, you don't have to really focus on it. Like, I'm gonna make some road plays because I want to go for a siege. Normally it wouldn't be worth doing this if it were to cost you a temple. But it doesn't matter if it costs me a temple, because this isn't a temple turn. And against those even turns, so turns 22, 24, 26, and 28. Remember, turn 30, you don't have any time to upgrade the temples in the first place. Now, I will still be placing temples this turn. Note that I'm not going for markets anymore. It is now too late to go for markets. This is why you have to prioritize markets early on. It's because otherwise, you'll be in the late game, unable to place temples, and you will be short on economy. Because like, it seems like I'm going overkill with the economy. I'm really not. This is a very necessary amount of economy. And also, very worth noting, when you're on a temple turn, again, focus everything you can on temples. If you happen to have some extra stars left over, that's nice. You can consider disbanding units if you really want to maximize, which I'll likely be doing this time around. And you don't even care about, like, upgrading cities and stuff. Let's just remember to destroy this. Yeah, get that starfish back. Now, capture this again. No tech, because it's all about the temples. Find any lumber hut that isn't next to a sawmill, destroy it, and now it's a 15-star temple. This one right here. This one right here. Are there any more? I don't believe so. Aha, there is one here. I'm gonna harvest the animal, because I can always disband if I need to. In fact, I'm actually still just plenty good on stars. Have this city as well. And I can border growth this, now giving me 2 more forest temples. Now, I think I'm good to go in terms of forest temples. Again, really check. Yeah, so what I'll actually do is I'll place the ocean temples here. And then now I don't have enough for a temple. So what I'm going to do is disband. Probably should disband the giant actually. You can see my score went down by 50 when I disbanded it because it's a 10-star unit. You lose 5 stars per star the unit is worth when you disband, and you only get half of it back, which means it is not a good idea to disband. The exception being placing temples, especially on those temple turns. Also, I have God, I might as well use it. Get this park going. Oh my goodness, I totally forgot to get this park here. I basically lost a star. Shouldn't be too big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. Now I can look at text, but I don't need any more. I will get the rest of the text later. I got diplomacy from a run, which is nice. We got the connection there. But yeah, I suppose this turn I'll make sure I have everything connected, because it is just a good amount of population and it's pretty cheap at this point in the game. And you will want to keep population in mind, like for example, keep your good forge spots open. See, there's a really good forge spot here in a border growth for the forest temple. And I could even just snag this. Get that park right now. Oh, that was a misclick. Not too big of a deal though. One little fishy. Now pass. And yeah, this is looking quite nice. So the score you actually need to get 100,000, because of the bonus, you don't actually need to get 100,000 points. It looks like I'm way off, but don't worry, I'll be fine. Getting this fish because I'll still have enough stars to place all the temples I can. Place a mountain temple here. I know I could make a mine, but the temple is more important, and I want that park. I still get the park anyway. Now, what's I need to focus on now? Yeah, this is where it gets very tedious. This is my least favorite part about perfection. I like the weekly challenges a lot because you don't have to temple spam. I don't even think temples are viable despite the buff in weekly challenges. And yeah, if we look at quests, we're just missing Genius. Oh yeah, but the score you need, I totally went on a tangent. You need 55,556, which you can only get in multiples of 10, so it's 55,560. If you're going for 55,000 points, you just divide that number in half, and you can see why this is pretty lenient. Now let's just pop growth. Reason why I'm not border growthing is because it's not going to give me extra parks to border growth. You do get extra points for each land tile you have, but it's going to be pretty expensive to get the park there, so I don't think it's quite worth it. So I can get that. And yeah, I'm really hoping I have enough. This run is looking good. And it would be kind of embarrassing if I didn't get it. Again, this is my first recorded attempt, actually. I did a lot of practice runs. They were all really close to 100,000. So like I knew, like, you know, if you just get decent enough luck, which I did here, you just should have enough. So all these just 1,000 points. And then the park. So I don't... Actually, I should place them. Because then I can monument there. Okay. Feeling better about things because, yeah, this is going much better than previous runs. Previous runs, I would have the score by turn 30. This is cutting it extremely close, though. Like, holy moly. Let's get that park. And then any park that I can sneak in, I will. I can get farm, mountain temple, mountain temple. Then we can go here. And then we'll use 2 temples. The temples are the most point efficient way to get population because they give you 100 points initially. So including the population, it's actually 105 points. So if you can spam temples to get your parks, it's technically slightly better. And if you're trying to get this 100,000 milestone, you have to get everything. But we'll see how close we are. Oh, we should be good, right? We placed so many temples on the temple doors. Yes, look at that. What was I even worried about? Look at that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, when you get a nice and lucky run, you do get actually a little bit of leeway. So if you really take your time, really maximize everything, you should absolutely be good to go. So let's go farm. Now you can also destroy your markets to give yourself more space because you don't need the markets anymore. You want to keep them around and keep your markets. Like this way you don't destroy like the forges or lumber huts near the sawmills or anything like that. It's because you need to keep them around before then, but and destroy this. See if there's just any room to get any parks. This one, hold on. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, we have more than enough here. So we can destroy this. We can use a sawmill here. Just squeeze out every bit of population. Use a mountain temple. Now this, we need... Yeah, we just don't have the tiles for that. Can we get... yes we can actually. It looks like we're off, but we're not. This disbands for 4. And you want to disband any units that cost an even amount of stars. Because if you disband anything that costs an odd number of stars, it rounds down, which means you lose more points. But look at that, 59,000, which means I should be well above the required threshold. In fact, it might even be 110,000, not quite. But that is how you do it. 100,000. This should be possible with any of the tribes. It will be harder with them. But if you get lucky enough, you will do it. As long as you kind of apply these strategies. This is by far one of the hardest things you can do. If you can do this free to play, then seriously give yourself a pat on the back. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub. And have a good one.